Namaste, good evening, and Jai Shri Ram to all folks. Today, Jagdish ji is busy with Ganpati Visarjan in Mangalore.
Yes.
So, welcome. I take this opportunity to welcome all of you, and we're going to have a very interesting session today because recently Dr. Swamy has been in the news regarding the Ram Setu. Has filed a case against the movie makers. So, I'm going to jump directly into the topic and invite Dr. Swamy to speak on Ram Mandir, Ram Setu, and lessons from Ramayana. And Dr. Swamy always disclaims that he's only Swami by name, but not a real Swami. But last two sessions, he's become a Swami, I guess. So over to you, Dr. Swamy. So we are
Yeah.
very keen to listen to you on this.
Yeah. And my kurta is also Bhagwa.
Bhagwa, so you are qualified now.
Well, I can fool you. That much is certain. uh, Thank you, Ramesh. The idea is that what we are doing is we want to demystify these scriptures. See, the scriptures have become too religious. They have got so much moral knowledge. Moral aspects and how to behave in a particular way. What is how the gods behave. All these things are for day-to-day use of our people, and therefore I'm trying to get back not only the story part of Ramayana and Mahabharata and all that, or the events, but more about the message that is coming out as to how we should behave in in different circumstances. So from that point of view, let me say a few things which you should know. One is Ramayana was written. Rama was earlier than Krishna, and the war in Sri Lanka was earlier than the Mahabharata war, and about 2,000 years, 2,000 years difference. And we, those of us who don't like the Western system of dating, we go by the Puranas. The Puranas, you see, is amazing how every event they've given the star position and the planet positions. And by that, you can get absolutely accurate thing, except for the fact that these are cyclical. And so if I say that Rama was 7,000 years according to the Purana, 7,000 BC according to the Puranas, well, that's based on the star positions. But those star positions perhaps 14,000 years ago also was the same, so on and on. So, but still taking all this into account, I would say today that Ramayana was 7,000 BC. I mean, imagine there is no other civilization which is so ancient and so highly civilized, developed, and so on as ours. And we seem to have forgotten that, and we've got a lot of inferiority complex imposed on us by the British in particular, and of course the Mughals who did bloody wars with us. So first thing I would like to say is Rama and Krishna are separated. We have already done Mahabharata. So the Krishna was later, and Rama was earlier. Rama, I think, was in the Treta Yuga, and Mahabharata was just before the Kali Yuga that came. So the other aspect is the Mahabharata war was in Kurukshetra, which is in Haryana, so North India. And the war with Ravan was in South India, that is in Sri Lanka. So the entire India is covered by these two wars. So and we knew Krishna as Sampurna Purushottam. That means Krishna knew he was God, and you can't imitate him because he's God. Accepted. Rama is an avatar, and he is Maryada Purushottam. That is, he sets the moral tone, and he is the Purushottam, the Puru and Uttam together. So Rama is to be imitated. You can see this is how Rama did. You can do it yourself. But when it comes to Krishna, you can't. He's God, and what he does, and so on. You don't. You don't say I can also do it because he did it. So with that, let me say that Rama led the war against Ravan, but Krishna didn't lead the war. He was a charioteer. Of course, he gave advice, but he gave a choice to Duryodhan. Do you want my army, or you want me? And of course, Arjuna was very clear, I want you and nobody else. But Duryodhan said, no, no, I want the army. He was so relieved that Arjuna wanted only Krishna. He said, all one man can do. So Duryodhan's foolishness became clear after the Mahabharata was war. So in a sense, that's the message. Armies, size, numbers. You can have a politician in India who, doesn't have the following of another politician, but that other politician may not be good for the country. Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Patel, if you compare. Jawaharlal Nehru, Rajaji, if you compare. So Jayaprakash, for example, I mean, he became popular when he led the movement, but earlier on, he was not, mass leader, that sort of thing. Before he quit politics for many, many years to return later on, when people, like us went to him and told him to come and fight Mrs. Gandhi. So in India, we look at the moral character, the moral issue, and so on. Crowds come last. That needs to be changed now in our politics also. Of course, crowds will come if you're doing the right thing, but you don't have to mobilize it and show I got so much following, such big crowds come. Like yesterday, the Congress party did in Ramlila ground. To what use? Parties in tatters and so on. So the question, first lesson we learn is that we learn from Mahabharata, and it applies here, that in our scriptures we teach people choose the moral aspect first and then look at the other aspects. Now, when you come to Ram temple, why is this clamor there for Ram temple? The damaged temples in India recorded, major, not minor, are about 40,000. But we only talk about Rama temple, Ramlala temple, that is where he was born, Krishna Janamabhoomi temple, where Krishna was born, and Kashi Vishwanath, these three. There is a Kashi Vishwanath temple just now, but that was built by Ahilya, not the original Gyan Vapi, where Lord Shiva himself planted the Jyotirling. So why these three? Why do we? And I'm telling you, and the Muslims should realize, we don't want all 40,000 because we can build it. Even today, there are so many Ram temples around the country. But that means that therefore you should give up Ayodhya, not because Ayodhya is a home thing, but that temple is special because we believe Ram was born in the premises of that, what later became to be built as a temple. So it is a Ram Janma Bhoomi temple. So therefore, there's no other place in the world or India where Ram can be told that he was born. So therefore, Ram Janma Bhoomi cannot have a masjid. And there was a temple, it was demolished, and a masjid was deliberately built on top of it. So therefore, that had to be taken back, and that's the reason why I led our team to victory, because I didn't go as which is mine and which is yours. In the Allahabad High Court, the pujaris were saying it is a temple. We are the people who were the masters of that temple, so it should be handed over to us. We are the descendants of the people whose temple it was. And same thing, the masjid people said, oh, no, no, this is the place where the Waqf board had its masjid. But I changed that, and what was not in the Supreme Court was not interested in this case. They said, well, what happened in Allahabad? It became division. The same thing we will do here also, and that means there will be no resolution. So therefore, the Supreme Court for 8 years didn't want to touch this, and it's only after I came in with this new idea that my fundamental right is there, where Ram was born according to faith. Nobody can challenge me on it. It's faith. If you go to the IPC, the Indian Penal Code, there's section 295, and go there. What it says is, what a large number of people think is sacred is sacred. No court can decide, no police can decide, no government can decide. So if a large number of people say something is sacred and somebody try to trample on it, then section 295 will be invoked and a criminal prosecution will take place. So it has been well established that faith, which is there in the preamble also, faith is not to be decided by objective consideration. There was a leader of the Dravida Karagam, the precursor of DMK, called E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar. They called him Periyar. Periyar meant big man. So the followers used to call him Periyar. He one day went to a shop and paid some money and bought a murti of Ganesha. Then he held a public meeting. And in the public meeting, he took this Ganesha like this and threw it on the ground, and it broke into pieces. See, he said, where is Ganesha? You people worship this, and nothing has happened to me. Well, somebody filed a case, and then he was not successful at the lower level, so he went to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, well, Supreme Court, what the lawyers of E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar said, he said that he purchased it, he paid money for it, became his property, and how he disposes of his property is nobody's business. And it is, it's not taken from a temple. So Supreme Court said, those who hold it sacred, they will be the one who will be counted. Just because you bought it in a temple doesn't mean you can hurt the sentiments of the people by breaking it and laughing at it. So the Supreme Court wanted to punish him, but the punishment was not executed because so many years had passed by from lower level coming all the way to Supreme Court. So 1958 judgment of the Supreme Court is worth reading, and telling people who say, this is all imaginary, these are, well, sorry, if this is faith, this is faith. So this comes out of Ramayana very clearly, the question of faith. And I think we must understand that everything can be a logic, mathematical logic or something like that. A is B and B there is for C, etc., etc. You don't have it. So now, when we come to the question of Ram Temple, what do we do? We know that Ram was a person for whom we have built a temple, because he returned from Ayodhya after going to Sri Lanka, after building Ram Setu and then bringing Sita back. And Sita, by the way, was his wife. But Dashrath, the father of Rama, had 3 wives. So Sita has taken away, kidnapped. So get married again. In fact, there was a marriage arranged after Rama, when Sita went away to the forest. Some of the courtiers got together, and there was a very beautiful daughter of the Varanasi king. And so they arranged a marriage of, rather than Rama not having a wife sitting in the throne next to him, which is a requirement. So, but Rama said, no, I will not do it. Don't. I mean, he was very rude with them. They're described in Valmiki's Ramayana. So he said, no, I have made a vow to Sita, I'll never leave her. And that's happened when Sita came with him from Sitamarhi or wherever she was in from Bihar. I mean, her father was a king of Bihar, a part of Bihar. So when they came, Rama spoke to Sita and said, there's a normal custom that when the wife is brought home to the husband's home, to give her some prize, some gift. He said, I'll give you one gift. I will never look at another woman. I'll have only one wife, and that is you. And no matter what happens, you're my wife for life. This is the gift I'm giving you. My father, my grandfather, all these people had 3 wives, 4 wives, and all that. I will not do that. Only you. So she then gave him a vow that in return, let me say, if ever I come to feel that because of something I did, you have been hurt in the eyes of the public because of that, I will leave you and go away, and don't stop me. And that's why she went to the forest. And not that Rama kicked her out and said, oh, some fisherman said that you had affair with Ravan, so Rama. No. In fact, Rama was very unhappy. He pleaded with her. She said, no, I've told you already. And that is why he had a gold statue made of her, and he kept it next to him in the throne, in the place where Sita used to sit. And at night he slept on the floor. He said, no, I'll not sleep in this bed as long as she doesn't come back. So it's all this thing that these people have done propaganda. Oof, these Britishers particularly have done so much propaganda, and all the stooges are going on repeating the same thing. Kicked her out. And this is the respect he had for women and so on. Even on that fire thing that he made her go through fire, there's a beautiful explanation for that. I'll come to that later if time permits. But let me say this, that Rama and Sita represent what is the maryada of the Hindu religion or Hindu society, that one man, one wife. And after all, it is also biologically correct. 50% women, 50% men. It should be one man, one woman only. So that is our tradition. And that is our maryada for us. And we have never agreed that 3 wives and 4 wives you can have. So this is the first lesson that all of us should learn, that if you are a follower of Ram, then please remember that in a marriage there's only one man, one woman. And and Rama and Sita are the examples of it. Second, I would like to, before I go into some more aspects of Ramayana and the moral and the even strategic things that come out of it, let me tell you about Ram Setu. Why am I so keen on Ram Setu? You see, Ram Setu was built by Rama. He first, when he came to Rameshwaram, he suddenly saw this ocean before him. He said, my God, now I can retrieve Sita. Then he said, this ocean is controlled by Samudra Raja. Let me do puja to him. Here is a man who is really, he's Maryada Purushottam, but he is descended from Vishnu. Everybody knows that. So he did puja for 5 days. And Samudra Raja didn't come. It didn't appear before him. So then Rama said, I see. It is like that. He took out his Agni Ban, That is, he had, Brahma had given him some lovely arrows to be used in special occasion, and one was this Agnipan. So if he let the Agnipan go, he would have completely evaporated the ocean that was there. There is the Gulf of Mannar and the Park Strait and so on. And Rameshwaram Island is there. I mean, the British called it Pamban Island for some reason, but that's where the Rameshwaram temple is there. Why is the Rameshwaram temple there? It's a Shiva's temple. And Rama had killed Shiva's Bhakt, namely Ravan. So he came and did Prashchit Puja. Plus of the fact the others don't like it. Ravan was considered a Brahmin, and a Kshatriya killed a Brahmin, so he did a puja on that. Of course, killing him was okay, but that you have to do some. You have committed a sin of taking a life, so he had to do puja. So that's why this Rameshwaram temple is a special temple. You go that side, you go and see it. Now, Rameshwaram temple is on an island, the coast of Tamil Nadu. Then there is ocean, and then after that the island starts, and it stops at Dhanushkodi. Of course, the coast to Rameshwaram is not difficult because it's a very small part. You can swim across and so on. And nowadays, of course, we have a bridge and a railway line over it and all that, so it's no problem. But after Dhanushkodi, it's a huge, I think, some 30-40 miles of water. And so you can't go to Sri Lanka unless you have a boat. And so he didn't have a boat. And so Rama, there in Dhanushkodi, he sat and meditated, and suddenly he got a wave from, and he came to know that Hanuman had a brother called Nala, and Nala was an architect. By the way, Rama had a Balu also. I mean, a bear. So Rama had squirrels, so many things. So Rama then told Nala, "Can you build a bridge?" And then they went and investigated what is the base, because the Samudra Raja, when he pulled out the Agniban, begged him, "Please don't let it go on the water, because all these fishes and prawns and this and there's so many jivis are there, they'll all die for my foolishness in not coming before you. So I will tell you, what is it that you want? You want to cross below after Dhanushkodi, below the water level, there is a ridge. And in that ridge, if you put rocks on top of it, then you can walk across. Where the rocks to come from? He said on the coast, there are lots of, the Tamil Nadu coast, there are lots of rocks there. And they are not really rocks. They are what they call as, it had a name, but it's made out of fusion of bones of fish.
Coral.
Coral, yeah, they're called coral. And so they were picked up by the monkeys, and they were brought and put. But there was a problem that those rocks, or so-called fused coral, they were so light that they used to float. Even today, if you go and get it, you will see it floating. So then they found a way by getting some, the sand in wet and so on, and made it into a thing and put it on the. In the beginning, it was not. It was floating. So then Hanuman wrote Ram on each one of them, and they all settled on it. So Ram Setu was created. Even today, you can see Ram Setu. Now, Ram Setu, it looks, everything about it is there in the Ramayana. And so, to say that it is imaginary, it is some fantasy and all that, all rubbish, which the Congress party tried to say in the Supreme Court and got a beating. So, Ram Setu is something that needs to be revered. Why? Because I tell people, but most people can't put it. What does it signify? A man is going all the way to fight with the most powerful man of that time, namely Ravan, who even Shiva used to be scared of him. He used to have all the nakshatras, 9 nakshatras, I mean 9 asterisks of the nakshatras under his chair. That kind of a person, you're going to fight for what? To rescue his wife. Now, there can't be a bigger love story than that. People, all kinds of love stories of 100 years ago, 200 years ago, in 9,000 years ago, is a story of a Raja who could marry any number. But he says, I've given my word, there'll be only one, and that is Sita. And for her, even though she has been kidnapped and taken away, and God knows what has happened to her, he said, no, I'll get her back. Because he may not have been Vishnu himself, but he had these divine qualities maybe he could see. So Ram Setu is the first known historical case of love, and it should be regarded like that. Otherwise, what is it? The bridge only? No, it's not a bridge. It is the sentiment of a man who is not, who has other alternatives, but he says, no, she was my wife and I'm going to get her back. And that determination is a lesson for all of us. So Ram Setu being protected is extremely crucial. So in this context, you have to see other lessons which have come, and I'll go through them quickly, and then we can have some discussion amongst ourselves. First of all, the Rama demonstrated that the reason he went to the forest was not because he wanted to go or that he had promised to go. Nothing of that. His father had promised. You see, Kaikeyi is from Iran, and there was a war, and he had, in that part where Kaikeyi was, that had come under his purview, and so she joined with him. And she was a fine person, but got carried away. She sat next to him in the rath, and she managed the horses, and while he went hunting, shooting arrows and so on, and suddenly Kaikeyi saw that the wheel, one of the nails of the wheel had come out, and the wheel would come off and they would topple and they would lose the war. So she is supposed to have put her finger where the nail was, and throughout the battle, the chariot went. Her finger, of course, was badly damaged and all that. But when Jatra saw this, he told her that I will give you 3 wishes. You ask anything you want. He didn't realize that one day it will come and hit him. But he said 3 wishes. What did he think? I want so many sarees, I want so many diamond necklaces, something. I don't know what he thought, but he said 3. So that is the vow which he had to do when she said, my first wish is send Rama away. My second wish is make my son king. And a third wish is that ensure that Rama doesn't come back. So he had to do it, but he was hesitant because she is, after all, one of the three wives. But Rama said, "No, I will, I will honor it, and I'll do it." And the moment he left, Dasharatha died. Afterwards, Kaikeyi herself said, "I've been foolish listening to Manthara or Kubdi, or whatever her name was, a hunchback servant." So she took everybody to Chitrakoot, where Rama had parked on his way, and said that I don't want this. And Bharat also came. He said, I don't want to be king. Please come back. He said, no. He made a promise. I'll keep that promise. And so, how many people are, when you say, I'm an observer, believer in Ram, but you can't do what he has done. Keeping vachan ko rakhna is a big, in Hinduism, is considered the highest moral thing. And don't give vachan. That's also a lesson. Don't give vachan easily, but if you give, keep it. That is another moral that comes out of Ramayana. And he went through the whole thing. Then, and even though it was his father's wish, not his wish, or not his promise, his father's promise, but he said, no, father, I must, as a dutiful son, I will do it. Then the question came, Rama was a Kshatriya, Raja. Will he treat everybody equally? But he proved it when he went, the boatman was Goa. He adopted him as his brother and treated him equally. You know that those boatmen were of the lowest class, but Rama made no difference. He ate their food, whatever they cooked, and so on. No change. Same thing with Sabari, who gave, just to check whether it is sweet enough. The bear, as it was called, that fruit, she used to bite it and then give it to him, and he ate it. So all this juta buta and all this business, Rama showed these things don't matter when the intentions on the other side is good. Now, another thing that comes out very interesting, Rama went to Kishkinda. When he reached Kishkinda, but Rama went to Varanasi. I'm not Varanasi, that place near Bombay, which is the birthplace of Jagdish Shetty. If he was here, he would have told me. What is it? Anyway, there when from Rama went to
Nashik.
the western Nasik. Nashik is the correct pronunciation. There, Sita was kidnapped. So from Nashik, he went to Karnataka. And there, the place is called Kishkinda. Even today, there is there. And if you go there, you will be surprised the kind of people they are. It looks as if some group had come from, Aryan Dravidian and all nonsense. But there have been people who have come here to our country because it was known as a place of plenty and so on. So people used to come. So there is a group which looks African. Even today, if you go there, they don't move around. It's like in the Andaman Islands. So there in Kishkinda, after seeing that they're all monkeys as is portrayed, Lakshman said, why are we going to fight Ravan with these people? What you do is you send a doot to Ayodhya and get the Bharat to give you the army, and let the Ayodhya army, which has even defeated Ravan when he once came to India and tried to come to Ayodhya, and Dasharatha had defeated him. So he said, why don't we get the, the soldiers from Ayodhya? So Rama said, all right, they'll come. Then who's going to feed them? These people. Who's going to look after them? These people. Who's going to give us provisions? These people. What will they think? Here we come, get the hospitality, and don't even trust them to fight for you. So I will not do that. I will use these people as my. That is the this monkey business. They are not really monkeys; they are humans, but they look different from the rest of India. And so he did, and that's what enthused these people. And see, he has faith in us. He's taking us for war. So this is another thing. National unity cannot come by North dominating South or South dominating North. It is not. It is that we all are one. And that's why the British tried to make us all different, Aryans, Dravidians, this thing, and all these Dravida parties. They are all nutcases. You see, they are playing into the hands of foreigners by saying, "Oh no, we are not different. We are different people. We are we are Dravidians who came." There are Dravid is a Sanskrit word for South India. Dravid, where the three oceans meet, or the three the land masses meet. So that is South India. So anyway, and Dravida and Adi Shankara had used it when he went and debated with Mandara Mishra, and Mandara Mishra's wife asked him, "Who are you?" So he said, "I am Dravida Shishu." Shishu means child. And Dravidas, I'm a Dravida man. So this is, these are all these bakwas that goes on. So Rama showed that every part of India is equally important. And you cannot say, no, I will get somebody from North India to come into it. So this is another national outlook. See, both Krishna and Rama, they have one has crossed from north to south, and the other has crossed from east to west. So it is just there's a message in that, and we should know that. Now, look at it from the other point of view also. When he reaches, when he decides to go, he's Sugriv, who had received him and invited him, had lost his kingdom because his stronger brother Bali had taken it over and he'd taken his wife also. And so to get soldiers, trained soldiers, not just people in the forest, Rama had to defeat Bali and reinstate Sugriv. So, so in that there was a problem because Sugriv was a very powerful man, and he challenged Rama. But Rama said, "Well, I'm your guest. How can I fight you?" Then he said, "Okay, I challenge Sugriv." And then Rama, in the beginning, couldn't distinguish between the two monkeys. So the first round went in favor of Bali. So next round, Rama put a garland around Sugriv, and in that, he then hid behind a tree and fired an arrow and killed Bali. And Bali, before dying, told Rama, "What is this? What kind of cowardice is this? Hiding behind a tree and killing me. You had come before me and then killed me. I would have gone as a with blessings to you for having sent me to God and all that." And he gave him a lecture. Then Rama said, "See, you have no right to give me a lectures on morality. I'm translating it in common man's language. It's not the language he spoke, but this is I'm not, I'm not going to give you the right to give me lectures on morality. I want to tell you, you stole his wife, you stole his kingdom, You have driven him into the forest. Your own brother, who was the king, I mean, related to each other. And he said, and you're giving me lectures on morality. Morality is only between two people who are morally upright. Then they can talk about morality, but not somebody who is immoral and then gives me a lecture on morality. And therefore, it was right for me to do what is most easy and convenient, and that's why I killed you from behind. So here's another lesson. Those who talk to us about morality, let's find out whether the other side is moral or not. Then only we should be talking in terms. So I come to the end. The Hanuman had gone across earlier after the before the Ram Setu was built. He went to check whether Sita is alive in Lanka before the Setu was built. And when he went there, he found Sita, and he told Sita that, you see, Rama is grieving for you. He is often crying for you. So why don't you sit on my back, and I'll take you back. You just fly and go away, and then nobody will know. I'll come in the night and take you back to where Ram is. She said, no, I don't want to go like this. There are so many women here who are slaves of, been forcibly made slaves of Raman. Rama must come and kill this man. Only then I will go. Otherwise, I will not go. Now, here's character again. These are things that should be taught to our people. And that is why Rama had to come and finish off Ravan and then take Sita back. So, there's a lot more to say, except only one thing, two things, short things I'll tell you. As soon as Vibhishana came over to Rama, first thing what he did is, he coronated him. Everybody was against it. Hanuman was against it. Lakshman was against it. What is this? This man is a defector. How do we know what he is? He said, no, I know. He has taken big risks to come. He deserves to be the king of Sri Lanka. So I don't want anyone to think that I've come to conquer Lanka. I don't want to be king of Lanka. I want somebody from Lanka to do it. Here he has come. So therefore I'm coordinating. This is one. The second thing, which is Lakshman told Rama after winning the war, why do we have to go back to Ayodhya? We don't know what attitude Bharat will have now. And this is such a beautiful place, much more developed than Ayodhya. Let's live here. If you want to be king, you can be king. If you don't want, you can lead a very comfortable life. We all can leave. I'll also quietly send Hanuman and bring my wife. So Rama says, there's nothing more beautiful and dear than motherland. It's a famous Sanskrit shloka. I don't want to repeat it here, but it is a common thing. It's there in Parliament. Everywhere it's put that the dearest thing for us Indians is the motherland. And to hell with everything else. This is, I will not say here, even though it's beautiful, lovely and all that, I'll go back to my motherland. So these are some of the lessons that you have to learn from Ramayana. They are all practical lessons of today. Thank you very much. Ramesh, please take it over now.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Swamy. There are a lot of viewers who want you to basically summarize this in probably a few minutes in Hindi also, because you have said, I know it's difficult because it's a You expounded on a lot of things. Basically,
Maybe you can have a special session on Hindi itself.
okay, we'll do that. We will do that, Dr. Swamy. We can
Ramayana and Mahabharata together.
together. We will do a session pure only in Hindi. So Arvindji,
Only in Hindi, 100% Hindi.
Hindi. Okay, very good. So we can do one session.
डॉक्टर स्वामी, मैं सवाल हिंदी में पूछ लूंगा तो कुछ लोगों को
ठीक है, थोड़ा जल्दी हो जाएगा।
डॉक्टर स्वामी, आपने रामायण का जिक्र किया, राम सेतु का जिक्र किया। रामायण के अंदर जितने चरित्र थे, चाहे वो रावण के पक्ष के लोग हों या राम के पक्ष के लोग हों, सुग्रीव, बाली, यानी कि आपने पूरी रामायण की कथानक को चित्रित करके हमारे सामने रख दिया। आप तमिल से आते हैं, तमिलनाडु से आते हैं। तमिल में एक अलग रामायण है, कम्बन रामायण जिसको कहते हैं। संस्कृत में वाल्मीकि की रामायण है, मैंने उसका हिंदी अनुवाद पढ़ा है। लेकिन मैंने रामचरितमानस जो तुलसीदास जी ने लिखी है, 400 साल 500 साल पुरानी हो गई, अब वो 16th सेंचुरी में लिखी गई थी, उसको मैंने अनेक बार पढ़ा है। लेकिन मैंने ये पाया कि जो जितने रामायण के अन्य संस्करण हैं, दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में एक बार एक बहुत बड़ा विवाद हो गया था कि एक प्रोफेसर ने एक नए प्रकार की रामायण शुरू कर दी थी, और फिर उनका ये तो किताब है, there are 300 versions of Ramayana, and many of these the 300 versions of Ramayana, there are some contradicting stories also. And जो आपने समुद्र की बात की, ये जो चित्रण है समुद्र का और राम सेतु जहाँ से बना, ये सभी रामायणों में है। every version of Ramayana, every version of Ramayana has this. And उसमें तुलसीदास की रामायण में कहा गया है, जब राम ने भगवान समुद्र की पूजा की और 3 दिन बीतने के बाद भी समुद्र नहीं माने, तो तुलसीदास जी कहते हैं कि विनय न मानत जलधि जड़, गए 3 दिन बीत, और बोले राम सकोप तब, भय बिन होत न प्रीत। That means without fear, no action can be taken, and that's why he took that Agni, and he used that Agni wand, and then the creatures in the ocean, they started dying. Then Samudra appeared and then again prayed before Rama that I will do whatever you want, and he suggested the name of Nal and Neel. Now you mentioned about Nal. There was another brother called Neel, and they were sons of Bhagwan Vishwakarma, and they used to in the childhood harass a lot of rishis. So in one of the rishi called Gautam Rishi, who also gave shrap, curse to Ahilya and Indra. So the curse that was given to Nal and Neel was, anything that you throw in the sea will only float, it will not go down. And that was the quality of Nal and Neel, and that's how the Ram Setu was prepared with the help of these two people. Some people say Nal had engineering qualification, this and that. But great thing. I mean, the narration.
मैं विवरण से बोलूं तो फिर तो पूरा रात चली जाएगी।
बिल्कुल। तो मैंने कहा कि जब रमेश ने कुछ कहा था आपको हिंदी में कहने के लिए, तो मैं कह दूंगा, तो कम से कम कुछ कथानक का एक हिस्सा है। Now, Dr. Swamy, Rama was, as we all know, Maryada Purushottam, and how to behave with father, son, family, guru, and praja, and subordinate, and team members, and all that. Sugriv की कहानी आपने बताई. It's a great story how he rescued Sugriv and his wife from Bali and killed Bali. Now the question is, Rama's behavior 3 times. People question. One is that Bali, killing the Bali. Second is, of course, his behavior towards Sita. Once Sita came back, and you, of course, mentioned about, it was washerman, Dhobi, who had commented on Sita, and therefore, of course, there are different versions, but you rescued Sita by giving a different version. And as I said, 300 versions of Ramayana characterize different characters of Ramayana differently. Sita is the most differentiated character in all these 300 versions.
I would say that the only एक ही का देखना चाहिए वो है वाल्मीकि
जी,
क्योंकि वो उसी समय के थे
जी.
He was contemporary of Rama. And he looked after Love and Kush also.
Right.
And it is he who, along with Sita, brought Love and Kush to see Rama in the last stages. I agree with you. I know one a crazy chap in Karnataka who said that Sita was born from the nose of Ravan. I mean, these are all motivated stuff. Don't go by it. Yes, Tulsidas' poetry is wonderful, particularly about Hanuman. But I think as far as authenticity is concerned, let us just stick to Valmiki.
Right.
So,
And
Dr.
coming
Swamy,
back to Ram
There is
Setu,
Kamban Ramayan also in Tamil Nadu.
yes, correct. That's what I
Number
mentioned.
Ramayana.
That's why he mentioned.
But
Now,
it is not very different from it's more a
Valmiki.
translation of the main one,
Valmiki.
Valmiki.
Okay. But some people say that Narada was the first rishi who wrote Ramayana or narrated Ramayana. But anyway, since there are different issues,
The
different people say
contemporary of Rama was only
Valmiki. Okay. I come back to Ram Setu. You mentioned about how you had fought the legal battle. And actually, it is Ashok Singhal of Vishwa Hindu Parishad who actually gave it to you, or
yeah.
actually
He called a
requested me to
meeting
take
and
it
told
up
everybody.
because entire Vishwa Hindu Parishad had failed. I remember a few years back, before the legal case you won, there was agitation by Vishwa Hindu Parishad all over India. They had road roko, rail roko everywhere in order to ask government of India at that time to save Ram Setu from destruction. But nothing could happen, and only a legal case. So therefore, you are the champion of saving Ram Setu. But the question
Ram.
is, why our Hindutva icon, Vishwa Guru, Narendra Bhai Damodar Bhai Modi, why he is not accepting your request despite of the fact that Prahlad Patel, who was the minister in charge of that, he had approved of that, saying that it should be national heritage. Why, in your opinion, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is not accepting? Of course, you have a Supreme Court case. Supreme Court is also hearing this case. But I believe, and some other people believe, who appreciate your efforts, that Narendra Bhai Modi does not want to give credit to Dr. Subramanian Swamy for saving Ram Setu. Is it true?
Jealousy spoils everybody's mind, you see. Even Ram Mandir, Mr. Modi filed a petition which has been kept secret, but it was presented before me in a meeting of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, where he said that all the land which Narasimha Rao had nationalized for building the temple should be given back. It's not fair that Narasimha Rao gave compensation to everybody, but he wanted to give it back. I give credit to our judges of the Supreme Court. They disregarded the Prime Minister's petition. It was drafted by that rascal called Guru Murthy.
So, Dr. Swamy, the current coming to this Ram Setu case. So you are going to be heard very soon by the Supreme Court, correct? I mean, so at least this time,
yes,
given you notice.
The date has been fixed. It's been fixed, I think, for November.
13th? November, okay.
Yeah.
Because
13th October, maybe.
13th October. Yeah, somewhere I remember some 13th.
Yeah.
Luckily, this time there is no more.
No
more gerrymandering, no more hanky panky of the register. So
the back has been also broken.
Uh-huh.
Their only method was to utilize the bureaucracy of the Supreme Court to see my case is not listed, and that Justice Chandrachud blew it up by telling the whole in open court, I come here prepared for these cases XYZ, and when I come in the morning, I see that the cause list has been completely changed. What is this going on? After that, the matter has changed. Now, of course, Lalit is a very tough judge, and I think the next judge also will be Chandrachud. They're both tough. I think we shouldn't expect all this nonsense to stop.
Dr. Swamy, as you said, the core is Valmiki Ramayana. There are a lot of interpretations. People, Ramchandra, people just come out of their own love to explain the
Yes.
beauty of Rama. Everybody gets captured, enamored by the beauty of the epic, the beauty of how Rama stood up as a human being. And Kabir Das has come and said he's written so many songs for Rama, even though being a Muslim weaver. People love Rama per se, and they've written, multiple words. Something's happened to Dr. Swamy's side. But anyway, we'll wait for the Tejas. Can you just take care? I think we've lost Dr. Swamy briefly. Can you just take care?
Yes.
So before Dr. Swamy comes, I'd like to share two books that are modern in the sense that for people who don't want to go look for the original edition, there are two books that I can recommend that I've gone through. One is this title called Lectures on Ramayana by Right Honorable Srinivas Shastri. It is basically a bunch of lectures that Dr. Srinivas Shastri gave in Chennai. Talks Ramayana in a very modern context. This is somewhere closer to the Independence Day. So you will see him treat Rama as a normal human being, as avatar, as Dr. Swamy said in the introduction. He did not consider himself to be God. That's beautifully explained in this book. He explains like Dr. Swamy explained about the Vali controversy. That is explained. The Agni Pravesh is being explained very well. So I strongly recommend read this book. It's a fascinating read. It's called Lectures on Ramayana by Right Honorable Srinivas Shastri. So you can look at that. The second book, Arvindji, was this book that I came across accidentally. It's called The Arrow of the Blue-Skinned God. Okay. It says retracing the Ramayana through India. So this guy is an American author. So what he did, he actually went from Ayodhya all the way to Sri Lanka and back.
Oh, I see.
And his travelogue.
Ah.
So these are two very interesting books that people can look at, read. And in this book, this author is very interestingly said, somebody asks him, why is India still such majority Hindus? So a Hindi book also for Hindi audience. I'm sorry, Visheshnathi, I don't have any Hindi books. So I can only say what I have. So in this Arrow, the Blue-Skinned God, he says, why is India still Hindus? He says, India is such a great country that they accept everybody who come in. And they just digest. They allow you, okay, if you want to be a Muslim, be a Muslim. If you want to be a Parsi, be a Parsi. If you want to be a Christian, be a Christian. But we are continuing to be Hindus. It's not saying that we didn't oppose you come in. Like, the way he really says India is a country that digests all other religions. Instead of saying fighting, it's a very unique concept that he's brought about. The perspective from an outsider. So this is my perspective. I think we lost Dr. Swamy. I'm not so sure. Arvindji, we can conclude. And because it's already 11:30. So we can conclude. Sorry, folks. Unfortunately.
When you mentioned about this travelogue of this American author from Ayodhya to Sri Lanka, in fact, Dr. Swamy, when he was mentioning the places like Kishkinda in Karnataka or near Hampi, or whatever places that he has named, Nasik, for example, is a very
Panchavati, essentially. Panchavati, that's exactly the name. Panchavati is exactly.
Yes. So we need to talk about the entire episode happening in the life of Lord Ram. These are the places which are important, and I saw one of the viewers had commented that when Dr. Swamy is asking for Ram Setu to be declared as national heritage.
Yeah, go ahead.
I thought I have also lost connection.
No, you're good.
So when Dr. Swamy was saying Ram Setu, some viewer had also asked that why not these places, holy places, should also be gradually declared as the national heritage from the Hindus' perspective. And these are important places for Hindu religion. And there are so many other things. When I asked Dr. Swamy about Sita, maybe some people also question about Ram's behavior vis-a-vis Vibhishana. Now, of course, in modern day politics, same thing is happening. You are trying to break the opposition party by, getting people on your side. It's happening all over India in different forms. So basically, Ramayana or the characters of Ramayana are being identified again and again, not Maryada Purushottam though. So we really need a Maryada Purushottam. And last week we could not have a program, but last week we had also discussed Mahabharata, and some of the viewers have also commented about the VHS doing a great job by bringing these holy epics for a discussion. Thank you very much, viewers, for supporting us constantly, and that encourages us to have these kind of programs once again. And Dr. Swamy, I mean, whatever praise one makes for Dr. Swamy is not sufficient. Dr. Swamy is an icon as far as Hindu religion is concerned, and in his absence, I'm saying thank you, Dr. Swamy, for today's episode as well. And thank you, viewers. Thank you, Ramesh Swamiji, and my technical team led by Ashish Shetty, Ishwar Iyer, Gadgi Rakesh, Vishal Mehta, Tejas, Swaminathan, and Ajesh Nair. We'll be coming to you next Sunday once again with a new topic and Dr. Subramanian Swamy. Today we could not regain the connection because of some internet issues.
We have lost, so basically, Dr. Swamy, they have lost power.
8 o'clock, Words of Wisdom, Gyan Ganga. We will be seeing you once again. Till then, viewers, Namaskar, Jai Hind.